Today I want to offer a message specifically for our school families. Obviously, all parishioners are more than welcome to watch, but this one's specifically for the school families. This is a really hard time in education, at just about any level of education. Just last week, I was speaking to some of my friends who were in theological studies over in Rome, in Italy, and they've now come home, and their professors are trying to teach an international body of students scattered around the entire globe over the internet. And they were explaining to me just how less than ideal this is in so many ways. And it can even become a little frustrating. On the more local level, here at Holy Trinity School, the first thing I want to say is I want to remind everyone that everyone is doing their best. Everyone's trying really, really hard to make the most of a difficult circumstance. Our teachers are giving it their all to try to provide as many educational resources and opportunities to our students as possible. Parents, I know that you're doing everything you can to cooperate with the teachers. Many of you continue to work, and in addition to working, you now have to also facilitate educational instruction for your children, and that's really difficult. And students, I know that you're giving it your all as well to try to continue learning, even though you're at home. So it's a tough time, but everyone's doing their best. However, because it's such a difficult time, I know that we're all a little susceptible to become really stressed out right now, quite anxious, maybe feeling frustrated or overwhelmed. These are sentiments that I know a lot of our parents especially are dealing with at this time. So I just want to speak into that reality a little bit. I was praying about all this morning, and the gospel passage that rose up in my heart was the passage when Jesus goes to Bethany to visit Martha and Mary, these two sisters. You probably know how the story goes. Martha is very busy serving Jesus and hosting the party. Mary just sits at Jesus' feet and listens to him. Martha eventually becomes a little perturbed that her sister's not helping her. So she says, Jesus, don't you care that my sister has left me to do all the serving? Why don't you tell her to help me? Pretty reasonable request. How does our Lord respond? He says, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and worried about many things, but there is need of only one thing. I think it's good for us to remember that. During this time when we can become very stressed and frustrated and overwhelmed by so much extra stuff that has been put on our plate, and then also just the difficulty of living in a world that is largely living in fear and with this kind of elusive threat, it's really, really hard. It can become a little frustrating and stressful. So it can be very helpful to remember the one thing necessary. You know what? Unfortunately, this summer, at least right now, we can't go to Miller Park and take in any Brewer games. Maybe toward the end of the summer. Maybe. We hope so. But during the Brewer game, one of those games on the Jumbotron, not the Jumbotron, the big screen. They don't call them Jumbotrons anymore. The big screen out in center field. On that big screen is this game called the Crazy Cap Shuffle. It used to have 3 caps in it. Now they have 5 ball caps in it. And in one of those caps is the baseball. And the objective of the game is just to follow the cap with the baseball as these caps bounce over one another and cut in front of one another and, dance on the screen all over the place. Now, to tell you the truth, the game is not that difficult if you are disciplined about focusing on the one cap with the ball, the one thing necessary. However, when you're trying to follow all 5 caps at once, well, then you're probably going to get distracted and you're going to lose the cap with the ball. So the objective is to focus on the one cap with the ball. Does this mean you totally ignore the other 4 caps? No, you don't totally ignore them. You still see them, but you know that they're not your primary focus. Okay, I think this can be helpful in the current situation, because we all must remember what the one thing necessary is in our lives. Now, there's a lot of things we need to do, right? So what we are doing is manifold. There are a lot of things you're doing right now, and that's probably why you might feel a little bit stressed. But we have to ask ourselves, are all of those tasks and things that we are doing the primary objective of our life? Or is there more to life that gives us meaning and purpose? What I want to challenge all of us to do is to see the why and the how more than just the what. That is, to ask ourselves, why are we doing what we're doing every day? Ask yourself that question. What motivates me? What is my purpose right now? What is my mission? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And I imagine you probably are going to answer, well, I'm doing it out of love, out of love for God and because I love my children as well. That's why I'm putting so much effort into this, and that's why it can become a little stressful because I care so much about it. But I would say that remembering that why is actually deeply liberating, because then we remember that it's not just about what we're doing. There's a greater purpose beyond the specifics. Also, it's liberating to focus on how you are doing the things that you're doing. We can do very simple tasks, mundane tasks, even tasks we don't really like, with compassion and patience and love. And when we do it in that really intentional sort of way, I think we usually can cope with the stress a lot better. So my challenge for everyone today is to ask yourself, what is the one thing necessary? It probably relates more to loving your children, to loving God, and to serving in a very compassionate, patient way. Focus on those things. That doesn't mean you ignore all the rest, all the tasks and the work and everything else. No, you still attend to it, but you attend to all that stuff in the proper perspective. You put those things in their proper secondary place, and you focus on the things that truly give meaning to life. So that's the message for today. Just to remind us all to continue to remember that everyone's doing their best, and let us continue to pray for one another during this tough time, but also a time that's evoking a lot of charity and virtue in all of our hearts. God bless you.